Everyone, thank you for coming here today. We're going to have our next session, the side events that we're going to talk about a closer look at Prabowo the Person himself by his biographer, Pak Yuza. Without any further ado, before we begin the session, I would like to explain to everyone, if you need an interpreter, like translation, you may raise your hand and ask for the interpreter from the staffs or volunteer around you. Thank you so much. Before any further ado, let me ask Pak Agus to start the session.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to talk about the Prabowo in the personal dimension. And here we have the biographer of Prabowo, Mas Dirgayuza Setiawan. So let's give big applause to him, to Dirgayuza Setiawan. Sorry. Okay, Mas Yuza, as we present the places. Okay. Okay, Mas Yuza is the biographer of Prabowo. So I asked him before come to the stage, is he get permission from Prabowo to write a book about Prabowo? And he said that he got permission from Prabowo because he worked as assistant of Prabowo for how many years, Mas? For a long time. So he has how many books you have related to Prabowo?
I have a few. I think I now have 4 books on Pak Prabowo.
Can you fix it?
Ya, harus diarahin ke situ.
Apanya?
Speakernya perlu di karena dia feedback.
Okay, so Mas Yuza has 4 books related to Prabowo, yeah? And he has his permission from he got permission from Prabowo. Mas Yuza, I read from summary of book you sent to me because I read the summary. You mentioned that Prabowo learned 3 philosophical values from the former President Suharto. They are, I think, Javanese philosophical, ojo dumeh, ojo lali, and ojo ngoyo. How do you see these 3 values implemented by Prabowo, and also how Prabowo implement these 3 values to his life?
Okay. Thank you, Pak Agus, and thank you everyone for having me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I answer your question, Pak Agus, I would like to actually ask a few questions of my own to the audience here. I think we want this to be as interactive as possible. So, my first question to all of you, please raise your hand if this relates to you. I learned something from my mom about values. If you learn 1 or 2 things about values from your mother, please raise your hand. Okay. And then I learned something about values that determines how I act or how I not act from my father. Raise your hand if you learned your values from your father. Okay. And how about values from your, I guess a lot of you are still very young, but who here already have a father-in-law and learned 1 thing or 2 from your father-in-law? Yeah. So coming to your question, Pak, I guess some of the people here in the audience can relate to it. We spend a lot of time with our family. We spend a lot of time with our parents, our grandparents, and the family that we get to marry with, right? And Pak Prabowo, he married into the Suharto family back in 1985 to Ibu Titi, who is now chair of Commission 4 of the House of Representatives. And being in the Suharto family, of course, he got to spend a lot of time with Pak Harto and learned about his leadership values. So in my book here, which all of you can read online, there's a lot of values that Pak Harto instilled to Pak Prabowo. For example, Ojo Lali. You must never forget who did what for you, right? Ojo Dumeh, you must not, you must not be too overtly pursuant of something that you want. And you have to be consistent, but you do have to be consistent. And Ojo Ngoyo, this is something that Pak Harto is very keen on because yes, as a military man, you must follow the orders of your superior. But, if you know that the circumstances doesn't allow you to, for example, the weather doesn't allow you to, or, it's a mission that you cannot accomplish, then you must be Ojo Ngoyo. You must not force yourself to do what you know that you cannot do, right? So, those are some of the values that Pak Prabowo learned. But I think more instrumentally, he learned much from his grandparent, Pak Margono. I don't know, maybe for some of you, your dad or your mom, but a lot of Indonesian families, the father works, right? So you get to spend time a lot with your grandpa. And Pak Prabowo is the same. For most of Pak Prabowo's life, his father, Professor Sumitro, is either busy as a government minister or busy teaching at the University of Indonesia. So he get to spend a lot of time with his grandpa, who is a very special person. Pak Prabowo's grandparent is Pak Margono Joyo Hadikusumo, the founder of BNI, the first chair of the DPA, the Presidential Advisory Council, and a member of BPU PKI, the Committee on Preparation of Indonesia's Independence, right? So he gets a lot of his values from Pak Margono, including all the wayang and the ksatria values. And Pak Margono is big on, big on tradition. For example, one of the things that I highlight in my books is how Pak Margono used to have two sons who passed away in combat. Namanya Pak Subianto and Pak Sujono. Nah, the bedrooms of these fallen sons was never cleaned up. So when they passed away, Pak Margono made the decision to keep the room as is, so that he can share with his grandsons, including Pak Prabowo, this is the rooms of your late uncles, and they gave up their life for the country.
So Prabowo also learned from his grandfather, right? So I want to know how Prabowo implement the value he learned from his grandfather, or maybe from former President Suharto. How Prabowo implement the value in life?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one that we all can see is to never give up. Yeah, Pak Prabowo is very, kenapa ya suaranya agak naik turun? But he never gave up, and if most people when they face failure, maybe after one or two failures, they would stop and not try again. But Pak Prabowo's victory in the last presidential election was actually his 5th attempt in running for president, right? And that is 25 years of continuous campaigning, right? So I think that is something that can only be possible if he has that value of not giving up.
So I have also what is. You want to change the mic? Yeah. Prabowo has lived in all of President Sil cabinet. I think, yeah. He also interact or maybe read from the newspaper about the president before Prabowo. So I also want to know from your perspective is what value Prabowo also learned from the former president.
So I want to answer that questions by sharing a few slides, right? Because Indonesians, we like to see pictures and see how people progress, right? So here we have a collage of pictures of Pak Prabowo from his first picture ever taken. I think the in focus is not clear, it's a bit cut off, but this was the first picture ever taken of Pak Prabowo when he was 1 year old. And then this is when he went to SMP, right, junior high school. This is his high school picture. And this is his high school graduation picture. And you see, if you want to understand the man, you have to follow the history and the things that he get to experience as a person, right? If you go on the next slide, boleh? So this is Pak Prabowo's high school yearbook. So when he graduated year 12 atau kelas 3 SMA, he wrote that, I agree with no man's opinion, I have some of my own. He is a captain of his soccer team. He's captain of his debate team at school. He's captain of the chess team, and he dislikes losing soccer. Right? So, people, I believe, doesn't really change, Pak. From they are very young until they're old. And I guess if you want to understand our new president, you have to look at his yearbook picture and his, what he wrote there. Next slide. Nah, but most importantly, Pak Prabowo spent 28 years in the military. Yeah. So even though he finished his high school in London with a diploma that allows him to go study at the top 100 university, he chose the military after a gap year. I don't know how many of you have finished your university degree. Coba lift your hands if you have done a university degree. Okay, some of you are still studying, but let me ask a different question. How many of you are thinking of having a gap year after your university degree? Jadi, you do something else before you commit to work. So Pak Prabowo did a gap year after his SMA, after his high school. And during that gap year, he get to meet Suhoki, who was an activist. And then the two of them, they created Indonesia's first NGO called Lembaga Pembangunan. So that NGO does work in the villages. They help people with business proposals and business plans and with credit. Right? So for farmers to start a chicken co-op, for farmers in Bali starting a pig co-op and things like that. Right? And from that experience, he decided he wanted to do the military, and he spent 28 years in the military. So, because of his military background and learnings and experience, we have to understand how people in the military works, right? And in the military, the biggest value that someone have is loyalty. You have to be loyal to your superior officers. Right? I think there's no other value above loyalty, right? And that is why Pak Prabowo is very adamant to respect his senior officers, even though maybe some of them are now his subordinates because he is already the president, right? But you see that in his everyday gesture to our former vice president, for example, Pak Trisno, he is very respectful to Pak to Pak Wiranto, to everybody who was his senior officer, because that is the tradition in the military, right? Next slide. And that bond in the military is so strong because a lot of time they actually go on missions where they put their life on the line. Maybe a lot of you doesn't know that at one time in the 1986, 1987, Pak Prabowo was once announced dead. Sudah pernah diumumkan mati di medan perang because he went missing for more than 60 hours in the battlefield in East Timor, and the reason was he was ambushed by the veteran, and he needed to dug a hole, and he stayed in that hole for 3 days. So when you go through experiences like that with your fellow mates in the military, you create an unbreakable bond, and that should explain why a lot of the people that Pak Prabowo chose to be his aide today are some of his former military mates, either the same rank or his junior who went to go to war with him, because they had this unbreakable bond. And even that is also evident when he was the Minister of Defense. He took a lot of people from the Kopassus to become his Director General, to become his expert staff. Now he have a lot of Kopassus guys as the minister, deputy ministers, or the likes, because of that shared experience. Yeah? Next slide. Now, another thing that we have to understand is that Pak Prabowo is a very well networked person, and this is because he speaks 6 languages. I think the difference between our previous president Pak Jokowi and Pak Prabowo is that the biggest difference, in my opinion, is Pak Prabowo's proficiency in foreign languages. Not only English, but Pak Prabowo is fluent in German, in French, and also in Dutch, right? So Pak Prabowo's fluency in Dutch actually allows him to do something like this. So this is a picture from 1981 where Pak Prabowo and Pak Luhut. This is Pak Prabowo and Pak Luhut is somewhere in the picture. Coba mana ada yang bisa nemuin nggak Pak Luhutnya? Hah? Atas ya? Ya atas kanan. Nah, this is when they went to train with the GSG 9, the elite special forces in Germany. And when they came back, they formed Detachment 81, which is the anti-terror group of the special forces. 81 refers to the year 81, right? And interestingly, Pak Prabowo still keep a lot of the relationship going. So one of the guys in the picture there, the German guy, is now the chairman of the Pencaksilat Association in Germany, right? Because Pak Prabowo's one of his ambition is to get Pencaksilat to be an Olympic sport. And during the last Olympic in France, Pencaksilat was an exhibition sport, and its network like this allows, because if you want to have Pencaksilat be part of the Olympics, you have to have it be competed in many different countries, and he gets to keep a lot of this relationship and transform that into something that he is very keen to do today. Next. Nah, and of course, Pak Prabowo doesn't only learn from his peers and his father, his grandfather, but he also is also a very avid reader. Yeah. So I even have a microsite. If you guys are interested, you can open Linktree/Pustaka Prabowo. So it's Linktree/Pustaka Prabowo is where I keep Pak Prabowo's reading list. So you can read the things that Pak Prabowo is reading, be it in history, in arts, in current affairs, or in economy and politics, because this is what he always does. And if you follow his Instagram, even when he was visiting Washington DC as president 2 weeks ago, he made the trip to a bookstore to buy books from a bookshop. So this is, very unique about Pak Prabowo. He reads books also very fast. He usually consumes about 3 books a week. So that's why in his house he have a library now that have more than 1,000 titles. Next slide. Nah, ini juga something yang a lot of people find very interesting. The picture of Bobby the cat at the Istana 4 weeks ago, scratching Pak Prabowo's head, was the most liked picture ever on Pak Prabowo's Instagram. The caption was, even the Pas Pampres doesn't know what to do. But, as a guy who likes cats and dogs and horses, there's a certain personality you can already guess. The kind of person he is, right? And if you ask me, is he more a cat person or a horse person or a dog person, I would say he's an animal person. Because even at his house, we are not allowed to bug the spiders. Even the spiders, we are not allowed to clean. Because Pak Prabowo said the spiders and even the ants, they all have the right to live alongside with him at his house. Next slide. So a lot of this is actually available not only on this book. This is a lot of text. If a lot of you want to understand about our current president, you can also open bukuprabowo.com. So on bukuprabowo.com, I have all these books available online. You can download the PDF for free, and you can read it yourself. This book is a pictorial biography of our new president, and Indonesians doesn't really like to read, Pak. Our literacy rate is 6 pages of non-fiction a year. So with a picture biography, I guess this is a better way to reach a wider audience on understanding the person. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pak Yuzai. You said that Prabowo has 28 years in military, and then the top value, you said loyalty from Prabowo. And from the 28 Prabowo working in the military, he always said himself as a warrior, right? And Prabowo also has what is experience not only in domestic but also in international. So my last question before I give the opportunity for the participant. In your opinion, how Prabowo perceive critics or inputs from outside military or people around him?
Yeah, so he's a Democrat also, right? Where his commitment to democracy is second to none. In 1998, we have to understand that he commanded the reserve force, which is Kostra, right? And he have a lot of very loyal followers in the military, and if he wanted to, he could have a takeover of the government, but he did not. And we see that throughout history, starting from 2004, he joined the Golkar Convention to run for president in a democratic way. In 2009, he ran for office again with Ibu Megawati. He ran again into 2014, 2019, and then 2024, his fifth attempt at the office. And part of being in a democracy, you have to be able to be a listener and to be open to criticism, right? And in my time working with him, there has never been a time where he, despite criticism or feedback, he always sees it as a gift to him if people give him feedback, because nobody can be perfect, right? So I think even though he's a military guy, as you said, but he likes to have a constructive dialogue and intellectual dialogue with anybody, and he is open to talking and having feedback, because he always believed that a leader is a reader. A leader is a reader, and part of reading is basically also reading what people say about you and what people think you do is correct or not correct.
Okay, thank you, Mas Yuza. And then I will give you opportunity, maybe three questions from three questions. Yeah, here two question from here, and then one question from here. You start from the, and then you, and then the last. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Yuza. University Makassar. What I want to ask about, maybe we haven't discussed about it in here, is about why Pak Prabowo always choose to conduct type of short course, think like Magelang retreat, the Hambalang retreat. I know before that he also conducted several short course when he was the defense minister. What's this idea of conducting short course? What's the objective to it in his leadership, sort of leadership agenda, and how does it affect the people that he chose on when they were working after they followed the short course program? Thank you. Maybe.
Okay, so to speak the same language. So if you want to have a good team and a good teamwork, everybody have to have the same language. So if you say, you know, I'm going to the restaurant with the red logo, what does that mean, right? If you don't teach your friends which restaurant you're referring to, one could go to KFC, the other one could go to Wendy's, the other one could go to, you know, Red Lobster, right? So having these courses helps Pak Prabowo builds a team that basically speaks the same language. And if you look at the courses, for example, when he was defense minister, we call it the leadership cohorts. He used that courses for all the would-be or future government officials, the director generals, the leaders in the BUMN, because he wants everybody to understand our current state as a country and where we need to be and how do we get there, right? And when everybody is on the same page, then it's much easier to command a team. And we also have to understand that Pak Prabowo is very big on education. Right? So, for example, myself, Pak Sugiono, the current foreign minister, Pak Prasetyo, the current Menteri Sekretaris Negara, and Pak Simon Mantiri, all four of us went on the same short course. This was in 2012. more than 12 years ago to Tsinghua University, for example. We were sent there on scholarship from Pak Prabowo to understand how the Chinese government think and how the Chinese businesses do business, right? So that way we have an understanding. Well, we have a shared understanding and we are able to communicate in the same language. So I think that is very important if you want to build a team. And that is also why some of the best performing teams, usually they go to the same school, right? Because they have the same culture, the same language. If you look at some of the best bands in the world like Coldplay, they all go to the same school, right? So that's my long answer to your short question. Okay, next.
To appreciate your writing and also your view about our current president, and also read your presentation about Prabowonomics, Pak, and I found it very resourceful. Thank you. I just want to understand what is the stance of our current president on the maritime sovereignty, kedaulatan maritim. Just want to understand on that, on the part of, maybe also related to the sustainability of it, on climate change, and how do, like as a leader of the country, we can put the stance of the current geopolitical stance of Indonesia right now. Thank you, Pak.
Yeah, so let me answer that question in relation to his beliefs, right? So, Pak Prabowo have, I think, a few foundational beliefs that is very much governing how he does foreign relations, and including your question on maintaining our sovereignty in the seas or in the skies and things like that, right? So the first core belief of Pak Prabowo is politics is the art of the possible. Politics is the art of the possible, meaning that you have to understand who you are dealing with and what is your own capability in affecting what you want, right? Because politics is in the end who gets what, where and how, or when. And when we talk about sovereignty, we have to talk about our ability to use force if necessary, right? In order to maintain our sovereignty. Now, one of the semi-joke that he said to his staffers when he became defense minister 5 years ago, he asked the question, am I a defense minister or am I a defenseless minister? Because we have to look at our posture in the air, in the seas, and in the land. Do we have the capability of, for example, launching rocket attacks, right? You know, Hamas, they launched a rocket attack against Israel. Indonesia as a country, we do not have that capability. So Hamas is more capable when it comes to long-range rocket attacks compared to Indonesia as a country. Do we have the capability to deter rocket attacks, for example? Do we have the ability to patrol our seas? You know, it is a fact that we don't have enough patrol boats to patrol our seas. Our country is 2/3 ocean. We are as big as the US, but the difference is 2/3 of us is an ocean. But the second question is, do we have actually the budget so that our patrol vessels can patrol every day? You know, I don't want to answer that question here, but you can look at the answers online and make conclusions yourself. Coming back to that core belief of politics and international affairs is the art of the possible, right? So when we want something, we have to look at, do we have the ability to actually get what we want and force our way into a negotiation? That's number one. But the number two core belief that Pak Prabowo always say to everyone is 1,000 friends too few, one enemy too many. Right? So Pak Prabowo is a concession maker. He is a concession maker. If he is not a concession maker, he will not be our defense minister 5 years ago. Right? He conceded to Pak Jokowi's offer and he joined the government. And if you look at his interaction with President Macron, for example, before he became president of Indonesia, but he was already president-elect. He went to see President Macron and he said to President Macron, you know, we have this EU-SEPA negotiation that has been going on for more than a decade and we cannot agree on the terms of trade, especially coming to our export of palm oil. You know what Pak Prabowo said to President Macron? He said, okay, if you don't want to take our palm oil, so be it. We will agree to your terms and you will have to suffer the consequences of your own terms. We are okay. We will use the palm oil for our own internal use. So I think those two hopefully indirectly and also directly answers your question and explains why he has done what he has done in the last few weeks as president.
And then you, yes, in the first row.
My name is Adam. You have written four books about Prabowo. I haven't read any of them, I'm sorry. Probably after this I will. I wonder though, my first question is how is he as a father? How is his relationship with his son? How is he at home, like as a person? Is he strict? Is he authoritarian? Probably, I don't know. I mean, it's easier to assume he would be because he's military background and all. My second question is, I don't know how much you can share or allowed to share, but how did he decide to run again after 4 times? How did he decide, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to run again even though I have failed 4 times before? Did he come up with it, like, after the election in 2019, or when, or how did he talk to his family, or what? I'm just wondering about it. Thank you.
Your name, Pak?
Adam.
Adam from?
Just regular citizen.
Oh, it's good. Just Adam again.
So please feel free to download it and have a read after this. So on your 2 questions, number 1, he prioritized his time with Mas Didit. That's for me is a testament to you know, all of us are busy, right? I mean, and sometimes we give up our time with our children or our son or daughters because we are busy at work. But Pak Prabowo does not do that. So when he said, so he and Mas Didit have committed time slots every week. Committed time slots every week where they go on having dinner together. And for us as his staffers, we understand that, you know, all the other schedules can change. He can be late to meetings or he can make people wait for meetings. But for his time with Mas Didit, he cannot be late and that time cannot change. And for me, and for many of other staffers with Pak Prabowo, we see that as his enduring commitment to his son, right? Even though he is now president, that committed time slot has not changed. So he always provided time, even though it might be 1 dinner a week or 2 dinners a week. But I think because that is very consistent, every week he does that. We really adore, and I think I have to learn a thing or 2 from him on my own time management with my wife and kids. So on your second question, When did he decide not to give up? So my understanding is it's the day after he lost, right? So every time he lost the election, the next day he gets on to work for the next election, even before the next election is 5 years away, right? And that is exemplified, I think, in the 2014 election. So in the 2014 election, that was, I think, it was my most, as a person in my life, because that was my first, the first presidential election where I get to be very involved firsthand. I spent almost 200 days on the road together with Pak Prabowo campaigning. So personally, it was very painful for me to watch my boss lost against someone who he promoted to be governor of Jakarta just 2 years before the 2014 election. And I was very down, right? And actually, that prompted me to leave the country and study my advanced degree in Oxford, because I was so down after the 2014 election. I needed to escape and do something else outside of politics. But Pak Prabowo did not do that, right? Pak Prabowo continues to. He said, okay, my political party needs to be stronger. At that time, Gerindra only have I think about 70 seats in the parliament, and then from the month of his loss in April 2014, he started to work again, and he was the chairman of. Sorry, he was then the Ketua Dewan Pembina of Gerindra, and after that, not long after. In late 2014, Prof. Suhardi, our first chairman, passed away, and he decided to be the chairman of Gerindra and made the political party much bigger than it used to be, right? Because he understands that in order for him to run again in 2019 and to have a good fighting chance, the party needs to be much stronger. So that's a testament, right, to his determination to take part in the country's democratic process.
Okay, then we still have 15 minutes, so I will give two questions again.
Mr. President Prabowo Subianto make a speech in APEC. It is about the open investigation, about the education and health. My opinion about education, we have to be careful. When we open wide the investment about education, that it will also, we will receive maybe liberalism. That's why, because I think, I don't know, maybe you have the data that more, because I think that in other countries, even the modern, the best countries, they don't open the education for investment very wide. That's why I'm afraid of it. Maybe we need to have the study about it first, how to counter the liberalism through the university or education from other countries' investment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So if you think that Indonesia should be getting more investment compared than Vietnam, raise your hand. Okay. And then I want you to raise your hand again if you think that STEM education is important. Yeah? So, not many of us know that. Sorry, I want to ask now an open question. Raise your hand if you know what is the #1 university in Vietnam. Ada yang tahu nggak? #1 university in Vietnam. Ada yang tahu nggak di sini #1 university in Indonesia? Siapa? UI, okay. In Vietnam, the number one university is the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, RMIT. That is the number one ranked university in the country and the number one that graduates the most STEM in the country. And today we are, I think a lot of you, especially if you have an iPhone or want to have an iPhone, know that iPhone 16 cannot be sold in Indonesia because they haven't invested. Indonesia does not receive investment from the Apple ecosystem, right? They offer to invest 1 trillion rupiah in Indonesia, but they have invested 250 trillion rupiah in Vietnam. And one of the primary reasons is because in Vietnam, there is the talent pool available for advanced manufacturing that is required by all these high-tech companies. Today, it is the fact that Microsoft, Apple, Google, all the big tech companies, they invest bukan 10 kali lipat, not 10x. They invest 200x more in Vietnam compared to Indonesia because we don't have enough talent pool that speaks English and is proficient in STEM. Nah, that is why, and we know that, even though we have good universities like UI, ITB, but the fact is, our local universities are not even in the top 200 in the QS World Ranking. And I studied at the top 30 university. My first university was Melbourne University. And then my second university was Oxford University, number 1 in the QS. My first university, number 30. My second is number 1. The gap is huge. When I went to Oxford, I felt like I never been to a university because of the quality of the education, the quality of the peers, and the resource system that is available. Nah, so in order for us to be an advanced country, we have to increase our income per capita from 5 million a month. Jadi rata-rata gaji orang Indonesia harus naik dari 5 juta sebulan to become 15 million a month, becoming 15 juta per bulan. Nah, the question is, what kind of jobs pays 15 million a month? If you don't have proficiency in technology and English, it's very hard to get a job that is paying you 15 million a month and above, right? Now, and that is why Pak Prabowo wants all these universities to come and set up campuses in Indonesia, because the fact is that in order for us to send our kids abroad, we don't have enough government budget. You see with LPDP now, we can send 5,000 kids to do an undergraduate degree overseas every year. But if the campuses open here in Indonesia with the same quality, we can send 20,000 4 times, because we don't have to pay the flight cost. We don't have to pay the living cost abroad. We don't have to pay a lot of the extra costs associated with sending people abroad, the visa, the medical checkup, everything like that, right? So by inviting the foreign universities to come and to make a campus here, it is in our national strategic interest, because our peers in the region, the Singaporean, the Vietnamese, the Malaysians, they have done that. For example, INSEAD is one of the best business schools in the world. After Harvard Business School, and then usually Judge School in Cambridge, is usually INSEAD. And INSEAD have a campus in Singapore. And that allows many Singaporeans to get an INSEAD education without the cost of flying to Mountain Blue. And I think that's very strategic, right? Now, on your concern about radicalism what we call liberalism. I think that is why we need to instill the sense of nationalism in the high schools, right? Pak Prabowo did not say to all these foreign countries, open a high school in Indonesia, enggak. Because the high schools is the formative years. In the high schools, we have a program now called Sekolah SMA Unggulan, where we will have the pathway for students to then study at the top 100 university in the country or outside of the country. But in those high school, we instill the sense of nationalism, the sense of love for the country, the sense of love of religion, and love for your fellow human beings and your family.
And at the last, you, but
Since you're our Prabowo since you are Prabowo personal biographer, what do you think Prabowo match the most with other foreign leader in terms of policies, styles of leading, styles of leader, etc. And for my second question is, what do you think of the current criticism of Prabowo? Because again, in social media, we saw a lot of people criticize him of being a controversial figure. And what do you think about that? That's all.
So a lot of people who used to be his opposition, when they get to know who Pak Prabowo is as a person, they usually switch and they become a Prabowo supporter, right? There's many people in history. I think one of the prime example is Mas Hasan Nasbi. He's now the head of the Presidential Communication Office. For many, many years, he campaigned against Pak Prabowo. He's one of the chief campaigner against voting for Pak Prabowo. But when Pak Prabowo joined Pak Jokowi as a Minister of Defense, and Pak Prabowo interacted with Mas Hasan changed his stance, right? He became a very effective campaigner for Pak Prabowo. And many other people are actually like that. And on your first question, I would say Pak Prabowo is a combination of Lee Kuan Yew, right, and Abraham Lincoln. Why do I say that? Because on Lincoln first. Lincoln is someone Pak Prabowo adores very much, and even here in this book, Pak Prabowo have a dedicated chapter on Lincoln, right? From Lincoln, he learned the value of collaboration, even with your former enemy, right? So when President Lincoln, he ran for office, he ran against Seward. And when Lincoln won, he asked Seward to be his Secretary of State, Menteri Luar Negeri, right? And Pak Prabowo always used that example, I want to be someone like that. And that is also why he joined with Pak Jokowi in 2019. He said to his staffers, you know, I've always adored Lincoln. I've always used the example of Lincoln reaching out to Seward, his former enemy, to be part of his team, because Lincoln knows that Seward is very capable, right? But if you read Lee Kuan Yew's biography, Lee Kuan Yew also said the same thing. He said, ini in quotation verbatim, Lee Kuan Yew said, it's not that I don't like opposition. Bukannya saya nggak suka partai oposisi, kata Lee Kuan Yew. But there are many talents in the opposition. If they stay in opposition, it will be wasted. Kalau talenta yang ada di partai oposisi tetap di situ, nggak saya ajak gabung ke pemerintahan, sayang banget. Because Singapore needs the talent. So, and I think that is the two leaders that I think Pak Prabowo looks up to and he strives to be. Both of them are visionary, both of them are concession makers, and both of them live for the advancement of the people in their country, and they will not stay idle when they see things are not going well. One of the things that Pak Prabowo always tells us is that he cannot stand seeing people living under bridges. And I think if you look at Pak Arasi Rait's Instagram, he's the Minister for Housing now. He has now a dedicated task force to find people who are still living under bridges to move them into government housing for free.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Riza. Please give a big applause to him. I think this is the last question from you, David. Yeah, thank you. We learned many things about Prabowo in the personal dimension. Yeah, we learned about why Prabowo bring the cabinet first, go to the Magelang to like a military training or the first training for the cabinet. Yeah, we understand from the Mas Yuza, and also we learn about the Prabowo as a personal, as a father. He has time with Mas Didit, even every week he locked the time for family. And then also we learn about the Pak Prabowo not only in the as a personal, but also we talk about the issues about the investment in education, and then also about maritime sovereignty. And we also learn about how Prabowo handled the crisis. Yeah, I think Pak Mas Yuza said about how Prabowo chose Hasan Hasbi. Yeah, Hasan Hasbi was the former of opposition, and then Prabowo take him as part of the government in the cabinet. So I think we learn more about Prabowo today. But you can also visit the website bukuprabowo.com, to know more about Prabowo. So you can also understand and reflect it into the Prabowo in his maybe in the future. I think many things will come to the Prabowo, because now we are in the unstable geopolitical landscape, and also this is maybe honeymoon for the Prabowo cabinet, because it's still a month, 2 months of Prabowo cabinets, and I think the problem will comes related to investment, related to many things to the Prabowo cabinet. So I think from the book we can learn how Prabowo handled the crisis. So thank you, Mas Yuza. Please give a big applause again to him. And that is the end of my session. Thank you very much. Do you have any?
Thank you, Pak. So I have a few books here. I don't want to bring them home. So I'll have one for the moderator, Pak Agus. Thank you so much, Pak Agus. And then I want to give one to someone who have not read any of Pak Prabowo's book. Silakan Pak. Pak Adam, silakan.